Welcome. Tonight's webinar is Getting Started with Google Classroom. My name is Dr. Tammy Frame and I'm the Chief Education Officer at eClass for Learning. I do a lot of teacher trainings with technology around the country, and if you like what you see tonight, I'd be happy to come to your school and do in-person training as well for you as well. One of the questions that I received prior to the webinar at some of the people who signed up is what are some of the benefits of Google Classroom? So one is improved workflow. I think that's the biggest one. And it allows you to create and collect assignments, especially with things in G Suite, really easily and push them out and collect them from students. It improves communication. You can make announcements, ask questions, and comment with students in real time. It also helps you stay organized because everything is put in one Google Drive folder for you, and you don't have to worry about where it all is. You can have a paperless classroom. You create an assignment and it can work sort of like a digital copy machine and give each student a copy that they can type on and turn in. You can easily see at a glance who has and hasn't completed their work. It's easy to give feedback. It's easy to make announcements, and there's an ability to have forums and classroom discussions, which really, there's a lot of research that improves engagement. It helps students to keep organized. They get a lot of notification emails when work is assigned, and it's easy for them to communicate with other classmates in the discussions. Okay, the next slide shows when you are first starting out with Google Classroom. And these slides, once you've set it up, you're not going to see it again. Now, one thing you have to understand is Google Classroom only works with a Google domain for a school. So it won't work on your personal Gmail. It'll only work with a school domain that has been set up with G Suite, and the students have to be on that same one with an email. Okay, so you have to have that same Google email account as the students. It has to be a school one for Classroom to work. So if that is the case, you can go to classroom.google.com, and if you've never set up Classroom, this is what you will see the first time. You will choose that you are a teacher. And then to start your first class, you're going to click the plus sign and join your first class, okay? Or not even join, you're going to create your first class as a teacher. And again, you're only going to see this the very first time. Okay, these are some additional resources. I am recording tonight's session, and you will get an archive link of the presentation, and I will send these three sites for you as well, because those will be very helpful. But with that, I want to go actually to Google Classroom and demo some things. Now, after you've set up Classroom the first time, you won't see those slides anymore. Now when you go to classroom.google.com and you're logged in your Gmail for school, you're going to see a dashboard that looks a lot like this. And it has across here all of my courses that I've set up. It has what I call the pancakes, and that will get you back to this main menu. So this is considered the main menu. It has the plus sign, and that's where I can either join a class, maybe for professional development, or I can create a class. So let's do that. Let's create a class, and I will call this Google Webinar Presentation. You can add a section. So let's say you were teaching Algebra 1 and you had Algebra 1, Section 2, Section 3. You can put those in there. I would recommend that you have a separate classroom set up for each section that you teach. When assigning an assignment, you can hit a pick list of all the classes that you want it to go to, so it isn't like you have to re-enter it in each class, which is nice. And subject is optional too. So when you've got it filled in the way you want, you can go to create. All right. Now, the first thing everybody wants to know is how do I change the theme? So Google automatically assigns you a random one, but it is fun to pick out your own. So you go to select theme, and they have a whole bunch here that you can choose from. All right, I kind of like the one that we have tonight, but just for the heck of it, given the weather in the Midwest, I'll go with this one. And notice it automatically changes. And again, that kind of helps personalize it and build engagement too. Now you can, if you see right underneath that, it says upload photo. You can do that. However, if you're just starting out, I wouldn't recommend it because you have to have one that works for these dimensions. And a lot of times you don't, and you don't know how to resize. And then let's say you put a picture of you in your class, everybody gets stretched out and it looks funny and might be more work initially than it's worth. So just to jumpstart and get going, I would just select one of their themes. They're pretty good looking and go from there. Okay, now across the top are 3 tabs that are important. The Stream tab is sort of like Facebook, and that's why students kind of like it. It has a very social media kind of feel. And what happens here is you post things here, and the newest thing gets posted on the top. So that's where your announcements, your assignments, your discussions, this is where all the action happens, okay? And we'll come back to here in a minute, and we will start adding things so you can kind of see how that works. The Student tab is where all of the grading happens. And you'll be able to see your grade book and things like that, and where you can do enrollment. Now, in here, it says class code. Now, if you want to add students to your class, you have 2 options. You can manually invite students, and you can click this, and then the students in your domain, you can pick list them, so you can manually pick them and add them to your class. But if you have a lot of classes, that could be a bit labor intensive. So what you might want to do is have them self-enroll. And quite honestly, I would say 99.9% of teachers I work with go with the self-enrollment option. So in that option, they go to classroom.google.com. The students pick I am a student. They hit the plus sign, and it says join a class, and then it says what is the class code. And each class has a randomly generated code that you give to students, so you could write this up on the blackboard. And so for this one, it's right here, and that's what you want to give them. Now, what's kind of cool that's new, Google's always adding new features as teachers request them. So I like the new email all guardians, and you can add guardians, and then they can get notifications of upcoming events as well. Okay, so this is kind of your tab for organization of grading and communication. Students don't have a student tab. This is teachers only. And then there's the About tab. Now the About tab is where you can put some static information about your course. You could think about it as your class website if you wanted to. And sometimes people do put a Google website here or something else here. Maybe you're going to put your syllabus. And the reason that you might want to put it in the About tab is I have 2 nieces who are in high school, and I asked them who use Google Classroom, and I ask them what they like and what they don't. And one of their comments is they really like teachers who use the About tab because things can get very, very busy in the stream. Like I said, it's like Facebook, and there's announcements and people are commenting and posting. And if there's something that they need, maybe a link or a syllabus or the periodic table or something like this, they're going to refer to a lot. It saves them a lot of time if it's in the About tab and they can find it easily without having to scroll down all the way and find it in the stream. Okay, we'll also talk about some strategies to navigate and make the stream more manageable as well in a minute, but that can be a very useful tool. So in the About tab, it doesn't put the newest thing on top. It just allows you to post materials that students are going to use a lot. And so you could put a class description. If it's a hybrid course where they do meet face-to-face, you could put that. You can have a calendar, and any assignments and things and important events will show up there. You can add class materials. So let's say I wanted to add that syllabus. Put the title here. And then you'll see these are reoccurring things that even occur in the stream. So this symbol stands for attachment. So if I had something from my computer or my drive that I wanted to add, I could do that. And let's just go to Documents and see if I can find a quick Word file. Oh, here's a PDF. We'll pretend that that is my syllabus. And then I can upload that. Bam. And now the students could see it, and I just post it. Okay. And now that will stay here, sort of like a little bit of a website. Okay. So that's how the About tab works. Okay. Also in here, Invite Teachers is a new feature that's kind of useful. So you can go in here and from your contacts in your school, you can invite other teachers to be in the class and see it and comment and so on. And that can be really useful, let's say if you have a special ed teacher that you teach with and they want to see what's going on. It can be very good to share and invite them. So that's something that I think is a great feature. Okay, another thing that we might want to look at under students, let's see, under the actions, I'm going to go to the Pancake and go to a class that I already have set up. Okay, and then we'll go to Students, and I can click All Students, and then under here we have some actions. We can email them. We can also mute certain students, and that means that if you're going to have class discussions and somebody's inappropriate, you can take away their rights to communicate as well. Okay. Let's see here. Let's go back to the stream because that is where all of the action is. And let's start here. And they do have some built in here, so here's a video you can watch. But, oh, I see, this is from my other class. So what I can do, let's go to the Pancakes and go back to the one that we set up for today because I don't want to notify students and get them confused. When you want to add something to the stream, you go to the plus sign and your choices are announcement, assignment, question, or reuse post. So we're going to start with an announcement. So let's say, and this is neat. This is another thing that we have. If you want to differentiate, You could do all students, or if I had enrolled students, they would show here and I could pick a group of students and differentiate that way too. So that's brand new. Because I don't have any students enrolled right now, we're going to just leave it as all students. And I could say after school study group canceled. And when I post this, they're going to get a Gmail notification too. So that's kind of nice if they're checking on their phones and so on too. Now, from here, I can go, you can create topics, and that would be if you wanted to group things. And sometimes you can search by topic, and then that makes it easier for students to find things. So if I had test question or test tips, and maybe another thing I had is important resources, I could create a topic around that, and then I'll just put announcement. Then students, that will show up in the side menu and they'll be able to see that. Now here are some symbols that you'll get used to. We already talked about the attachment. You could also attach something from your drive. So it's linked to your drive, and that's why the workflow is so much simpler. You could, this is for a YouTube video, and so what you can do here is if you have the URL or if you wanted to search, let's say, let's just try one that I made today and see if it even appears. Okay. So then if I wanted to add that, I can just click add as well. The next symbol over is an external link. So if you have a link that you want to share with students, and I could add this, and maybe on my announcement here, please look these your own tonight. And let's say due to bad weather. Okay. So when I'm ready, under here, I could post it right now. I could schedule it. So maybe if I'm sort of lesson planning and I want to write all my announcements for the week and then I want them to come out one each day, I could do that. Or I could save it as a draft if I'm not quite done and I want to come back to it. For tonight's demo, I'll actually go ahead and post it. So then students would get a copy of this in their email, but also when they logged in, this would be at the top of their stream to read. And notice over here, now we have under our topics, announcements. And as we have other ones, we'll be able to sort by those. And that helps make things a little bit easier. Now, your students, you can set it up so that they can comment. My two nieces found that to be very useful. That allows them to ask questions or to ask for clarifications, and that often works as an FAQ, because often if one person has a question, several others do. So if you answer it, or maybe another student knows and they can answer it. So it becomes like a collective conversation about what you just posted, and if people need more clarifications, it can be very useful, and they really like that. And that gets into the improved communication. All right, so that's an announcement. Now let's go to an assignment. This is where it gets very exciting. So again, an assignment can be for all students, or you can pick individual ones from a pick list. You title your assignment. I'll put Google webinar paper, and then my instructions. So I could put, please write a paper outlining your 10 best uses of G Suite for education. Okay, then we can pick a due date. So I'll make that due tomorrow. Can even say by midnight. I do that a lot with my adult graduate students. Now this is where it gets very exciting. I could attach something if I wanted them to read and respond to it. I could also attach a Google Doc that maybe I want them to type on, almost like a worksheet that I set up, or a graphic organizer. And everybody could get their own copy. So let's do that. Here's a template of a personal essay, and that's in my drive. So you have to make that in Google Docs ahead of time. I could also have put a YouTube video maybe that I wanted them to watch, or a link again. And now here, this is a one-shot deal where you can pick this. But students can view the file, students can edit the file, or make a copy for each student. That's the cool one, where it's like a virtual copy machine. Then under Assign, I can either assign it now. I could schedule this if I was lesson planning and I wanted this to come out on Wednesday, or I could save it as a draft and come back to it later. I'm going to assign it. Okay. In my course, it shows that it would show how many students I have here, and I don't have anybody enrolled tonight, but if I had 10 students, it would say 10 not done, and in real time as they turn it in, it will show you how many are done. So why don't I switch views and go to a class where I did have people turn in things. Okay, here's one where 13 are not done and 1 is done. Okay, and then I can see the student's work. I can actually open it up, and I can see that what I did here is we were practicing on looking for evidence, and I had some speeches, one from Hillary Clinton and one from Donald Trump, and they were comparing and contrasting them, and I had them highlight some things that they wanted to use as themes to write an essay about. So I made one copy, and then each student got a copy and was able to highlight on it and then turn it back into me of what they thought some of the key themes were. Okay, then she also turned in her highlights. So these were the themes that she highlighted, and she collected and then turned in back to me. When I'm ready to grade this, I can click on the student and I can type in the grade. I can also change the number of points up here, or have it ungraded and just track if they did it or not. And then I can return this to her and also add a private comment. Now, I'm not really going to do this because we did this as a professional development, and I don't want to confuse her and think, wow, that was graded, when it really wasn't. But that's how the grading process would work. When the students get something like this, on their Google Doc, which we can't see because we're in as a teacher, up here on the buttons, they have another button called Turn In. And when they're ready, that's how it gets turned in. And that's how the workflow ends up being so nice between one and another one. Okay. Okay, let's go back to our pancakes, which take us back to the dashboard. And a couple other things. After you finish a course, it's possible that you might want to archive it. And that means you'll still have access, but it won't take up so much space on your dashboards, especially as you do this year after year after year. And also, I would encourage that you look at the extra resources that I'm sending you in case you get stuck, or you can reach out to me and I'd be happy to help you too. I just want to point out an upcoming webinar, because that kind of concludes. Google Classroom is not too complex. It's easy to get up and running. It takes about 5 minutes to really get the hang of it and get going. So very intuitive, very simple to use. We hope that you will join us for our next eClass for Learning webinar, and you can see that at www.eclassforlearning.com under webinars, and from here under K-12, Making Learning Visible with Digital Assessments will be on February 16th in 2017. And I think this is very exciting because all of the assessments that we're going to learn about, you can post into your Google Classroom and you can distribute that way too. So it will work with Classroom. You can also do them independent of Classroom too, but they will work well in tandem. And if you went to tonight's webinar, I think that might be a good one for you to join as well. So thanks again for signing up for tonight's webinar, and I will send you a copy of the archive and the resources I mentioned, and I hope to see you again.